Well, welcome back into Open Line. Chuck Long here with you for the next 30 minutes. I've been here with you for the first 30 minutes. Looking forward to these last 30 minutes. But I say last 30 minutes because this is the time to make sure, if you've been thinking about calling, get on the line with us so that you can get that question or comment to Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm. If you are just tuning in, he is one of the most known, most respected lawyers in the state of Tennessee from the Kennedy Law Firm. Been in business over 35 years. And if you have been watching, you realize that Kevin has such a knowledge, such a wide range knowledge of so many different areas. And one of the things that we always say is, the law is complicated, and someone like Kevin is there to help you understand it, and it helps a lot of our viewers understand it with your questions as well. So, Kevin, I tell you what, our second half hour, we've got a lot of calls to get to. We're going to try to get to as many as we can. Are you ready, sir?
Rock 'em out, Chuck.
All right, here we go. Sabrina is on the line with us. Sabrina, we're glad that you're joining us this evening. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
Well, I do, but first, Mr. Kennedy, you are one of my favorite people ever on TV.
I love you, Sabrina.
I just want to ask
Merry
a quick
Christmas
question.
to you.
I'm married, and my parents are getting up there in age, and they're wanting to gift me money every year, legally, of course. And my husband and I have 2 different bank accounts. And I just wanted to know a safe way, like if we were to separate or get a divorce, how to protect the money that my parents have given to me solely. If there's a way to do that properly.
Okay. Well, Sabrina, thank you for those sweet comments, and you do inspire me when you share that. The truth is, Sabrina, you've identified an issue. One of the best ways to identify and protect monies that is inherited is you keep it separate. As a general rule, inherited money, so you document where the money came from, is yours should a divorce take place. Another trick that people do, there's what's known as the prenuptial agreement and the postnuptial. Well, the prenuptial, before you got married, you can clearly say, any money inherited from my family will be mine. You make no claim to it, and you can contract that at the beginning. You say, well, that's great, Kevin, but we've been married for 25 years. Well, guess what? We have what's known as a post-nuptial agreement that you and I could enter into, and you say, should it ever get to a divorce, you acknowledge that my parents have left me $2 million. You make no claim to that. That money's in a separate. So a good understanding keeps down a misunderstanding. What I love best about what you've said, Sabrina, you've identified the potential problem, because people go into the divorce court and they say, well, I didn't even think about that. A little preparation goes a long way. So again, I would say go to a lawyer, talk to them privately, and see if we can get something in writing. In the state of Tennessee, statute of frauds, anything to do with an amount over $500 requires a writing. Is that absolute? Remember, Kevin Kennedy is going to try to dance in some gray areas if you're my client. Any way that I can generate some proof, that is your general rule. But if I had something else and you said in front of one of my employees, yes, you can have all that money. I don't want a bit of it. I know your parents. I've never made a claim to that. That money was given to you for a specific reason. Okay? If we've got a problem, I would use that evidence. So good luck with that information. Talk to a lawyer privately.
All right. Thanks so much for that call, Sabrina, and thanks for your energy. We appreciate that. All right. We are going right back to our lines. I believe Hiram is on the line with us. Hiram, welcome into Open Line. Do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
I have a question and a comment. Hi, Chuck. Hi, Mr. Kennedy. I want to wish y'all a happy holidays. My question for you is, I appreciate that call earlier about the 46th president, Donald Trump. That was a good one. Also, I was wanting to know, he was worried, the president was, about a sporting team, the Washington Redskins. They were talking about changing their name. And all this time, they went into the Super Bowl. It was showed all over the world. And when the veterans and the military was at war, they was able to watch it on satellite or cable or whatever. And I was wanting to know if they are they allowed to change their name, or what would be the best thing? And I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Hiram. We are in a very sensitive, politically correct environment. As a general rule, we don't want to offend anyone. And just because we watch a Western TV and there's cowboys and Indians and someone could say anything, well, I find that offensive. Well, the Supreme Court has tried to define what is offensive, and they've struggled with it. So if the Supreme Court struggles with that, then the general populace can. Do they have a right to change their names? Yes, they do. Just like you have a legal right, if you chose it, I don't like Hiram anymore. You can go to a lawyer, we can file a petition and ask to change your name. Now, what is the court interested in? Are you trying to defraud someone? Are you trying to cheat someone? Those could be legitimate questions asked of a court. If that were the case, then they could deny your petition. But if it's just because you wanted to with a justifiable reason, more than likely the court would agree and change that name. So you did really good. Thank you so much, Hiram, for that. But I think I've answered that legally correct to you.
All right. Thanks so much for that call, Hiram. And we are going back to the lines right now. Ted is on the line with us at this point. Ted, do you have a question or a comment for Kevin?
I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
My question is, isn't it true that we're actually operating under maritime law, and when President Trump returns us to constitutional law, all of you lawyers are going to be out of work?
Okay. Well, maritime law, Ted, is really, when they say, what is it? That's kind of like law that deals with the ships and the oceans and the sea. Quite frankly, the rivers that run through Tennessee, the Tennessee River, the Cumberland River, they're run by what is known as maritime law. Constitutional law, what does that really mean? That all the laws are based on the Constitution. You say, well, your lawyers are going to be out of work. The truth is, every lawyer has to swear before they can get to be a lawyer that they've got to uphold the Constitution. It's in the oath that's administered to every lawyer. They just passed a bunch of the bar exam. They're making plans to be sworn in. They make us say we have to support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the state of Tennessee. So I think the correct statement is all lawyers are under constitutional law. And remember this, what is, you presented a very good legal question. Guess what? It's open to interpretation. And if somebody filed a lawsuit and said define this, well, that the courts could make a declaratory judgment that this is a matter of maritime law and this is a matter of constitutional law. So they could coexist at the same time. So thank you so much for your question, and I hope I've addressed it. You got to identify it, explain it, and then we move forward. One thing about two lawyers, just like two people in the streets, everybody has their own opinion. And when you get to the Court of Appeals, they've got three. You know why they have three judges? Because sometimes two agree and one disagree. They call that the dissenting opinion. They call the other the majority. And if you don't like that, then we'll go on to the Supreme Court of the state of Tennessee. And guess what? It's an odd number there because they know there can be dissenting opinions and the majority opinions.
All right. Once again, great information there, Kevin. All right. I think we're going back to the lines right now. I think Steve is on the line with us right now. Steve, yeah, if you have a question or comment, go right ahead.
Yes, I got hit in October the 1st, and I turned around and I went to two lawyers, and they were saying that they couldn't take the case because I didn't have insurance on my car, but the other person said that they had insurance on their car, and they didn't. So what could I do about this? Because now I'm stranded with all these bills, hospital bills, and all of this. What can I do about this?
Okay, Steve. Well, we say quite often the squeaky door gets the oil. What does that really mean? You have to advance your cause. Just because a lawyer turns down your case, you got to keep pursuing it. Just because another lawyer doesn't take, you've got to keep pursuing it. What is confronted with you is, number one, is there liability? Every lawyer is going to question that. Number two, is there insurance that could pay for the damages? So if someone ran into you, yeah, it's their fault. Yes, there's damages. You got hurt. But the question is there no insurance? So it brings a good question that I want everybody to ponder, to look at your individual insurance right now and see if you have uninsured motorists. What's known as uninsured and underinsured if someone ran into you, then your insurance would take over and would provide for that. Now, why do I even mention that? During this pandemic, we know that there are a lot of people that are going to lose their jobs. We also know that if people have to make a decision between buying food or buying insurance, they're going to buy the food. Insurance may be something they cut. So that increases the odds that there could be a car accident and someone hits you, has no insurance. How much? No insurance. Well, guess what? There's provided a way to protect you, but you have to protect yourself. So go talk to your insurance company. If you don't have uninsured motorists, get it. So what you need to do is go to your insurance company and see if you have that kind of coverage. And then you can go to the lawyer and say, hey, look, I know they didn't have any, but I have any. Because sometimes a lawyer can be overwhelmed and he just didn't think of it. Maybe he's not experienced in car wreck cases. We see that. So it's good to get a lawyer that's experienced or a group of lawyers, because usually somebody's got a good idea of what needs to be done. Okay, I hope I helped you with that.
All right, Steve, thank you so much for that call. A lot of you, again, still online with us. Not a lot of time left in this half hour, so if you do have that question or a comment for Kevin, make sure you get on the line as soon as possible. 737-7587 is the number to call. We'll take a short break and more questions right after this. You're watching Open Line.